Every 6 or 7 years, a manufacturer will completely redesign one of their models. Halfway between that time, however, they do something called a mid-cycle refresh, which brings us to this, the 2018 Hyundai Sonata. So the biggest change for 2018 is in the grille. They got away from that hexagonal grille that everybody else is doing, and they went with this tapered, more graceful interpretation. One thing I really like though is they got rid of that strange, awkward blockout for the radar cruise control. Now it's just behind the badge. On the side here we have LED headlights with this top trim, and they're also adaptive, so they'll shine the light right through the curves for you. One thing I like too is they have this chrome trim that starts from the top and goes all the way to the back and curves right back around to the front. There's not a whole lot going on back here, but there's nothing to really hate either. I have to say, I like it. This is the 2.0T Limited Sonata, the top trim. You can't get more expensive than this. I like this engine. It's 245 horsepower, 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, mated with an 8-speed automatic transmission. It's got enough response, it's got plenty of power for most drivers, and it's smooth. So on the bottom end, you have a 2.4-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, makes 185 horsepower. That's a big difference from the 245 you get with this power unit. There's also an Eco engine, which is a 1.6-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. Makes a little bit less horsepower, but makes more torque, so it should be as easy to drive as the base engine. The key is it gets a little bit better fuel economy. This one here gets 26 miles per gallon combined versus the base engine, which gets 28 to 29, and then the Eco jumps up to about 31 miles per gallon combined. So my choice is obviously the 2.0T. Odds are most shoppers are going to be looking towards the base engine, which is the 2.4 liter. Now that should have adequate power, but it's not going to impress you. Honestly, I'd say take your time on a test drive to see if it meets your expectations. On the road, the Hyundai Sonata feels really good. The suspension, it smooths over everything. You don't get any residual bumps after you hit something. On the highway, it passes other cars with ease. Stopping short of calling it fun to drive or sporty, far more capable than most drivers will need. As tested, this is 33 grand, which is at the top end for mid-sized family sedans like this. One thing that I am impressed with is the adaptive cruise control that comes with this model. I'll just turn it on here, set it just slightly above the speed limit because we're in LA. Visibility is right about what you'd expect for almost any mid-sized family sedan nowadays. The A-pillar here, it's a little thick, but at no point did I really feel the need to have to bob my head back and forth to see through a turn. Rear visibility, it's pretty typical too. You do have a standard rear view camera to take out any other guesswork. And in this trim, you also have the rear parking sensors. So backing into a tight spot, not a problem, no stress. Now, the engine is fairly quiet, doesn't sound like it's being taxed. Road noise is present pretty much all the time, but it's never intrusive. There is a little bit of wind noise on the highway, but turn up the volume a couple notches, not a problem anymore. So by and large, there's not a lot I can complain about with the Sonata, at least in the way it drives. It's really well managed. It's a good amount of power from this engine. I have to say I like it. As far as the interior is concerned, it's a lot like the 2017 Hyundai Sonata, and that's a good thing. Everything's well laid out. It's not trying to be sporty. It's not bringing in all these weird novelties. It's just an easy to use, fairly attractive cockpit. The steering wheel feels great in my hand. The controls are placed right where I want them. All the audio stuff on the left side, cruise control and trip computer stuff on the left. The stitching feels good. One thing I do like about the wheel too is the range of telescoping adjustment, which means I don't have to sit closer to the wheel than I'm comfortable with. A lot of the Japanese sedans, they don't quite come back far enough for me. And I'm only 5'10", so taller drivers are going to have an even greater problem with this. As far as infotainment is concerned, the Limited has a larger 8-inch touchscreen. I like touchscreens. I also like the knob controllers. This works great as a touchscreen. All the buttons, all the hotspots are really well laid out and also big enough for you to read at a really easy glance. In addition, you also have Apple CarPlay, which is probably one of my favorite features from the last 5 years or so. Interior storage-wise, we've got 2 decent-sized cup holders here, a really nice pocket here for your cell phone. Holds pretty much any smartphone, even the plus-sized iPhones. Ahead of that, a wireless charging pad. We're seeing those pop in more and more often for phones that are so equipped. The one thing I wish we had was another USB port. There's only one here, but on each side of it, we do have 2 12-volt sockets. Not as ideal, but it'll still work. The center console bin, it's pretty deep. You're gonna get plenty of stuff in there, no problem. As far as seat comfort is concerned, it's pretty good. The adjustments on the seat, they're just enough. You have a 4-way lumbar, and there's quite a good amount of adjustment range on that as well. All in all, I like the interior up front here. I feel like I have plenty of room. The seats are comfortable for hours on end, so let's see if that holds true for the back seats. One thing I realized once I sat down in the back seats was the immense amount of legroom. This is the kind of legroom I'd expect out of the large kind of luxury leaning Hyundai Azera or something. Now the seat is set up for me up front, so I'm sitting behind myself and there's just a ton of room, except for up top. Now my hair is brushing the headliner, my head's not bumping into it, but yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of product in my hair, nor is it a pompadour, but yeah, I'm kind of at the limit for headroom back here. But considering this is a mid-size sedan, it's pretty good. One thing that you also don't expect is window shades like that. That's a nice touch. Materials quality is actually pretty good back here, as good as it was up front. We have a nice little armrest here. You have a little tiny cup holder, probably for Red Bull or something, and 2 medium-sized ones on the sides. It's at the right height. Be comfortable back here. You have 1 extra USB port back here to keep you charged, but it's only for charging. It's not gonna plug into the infotainment system. So yeah, big points for the space back here. So there's one feature that's been making its way into more accessible vehicles, and that's hands-free trunks. And I really do like them on the whole, but there are some issues with this system. So you have to stand back here for a few seconds. The problem is it doesn't open past that automatically. So if your arms are full with stuff, you're gonna have to try and, lever it in there. It'd be easier if it just popped all the way open. But once it is open, that's a big trunk. It's deep, it really goes in there far, and it's scooped out here on the side, so you can get several golf bags back here, no problem. Remote latch is there, which means you're either gonna have to crawl in and push it down, or push it down with whatever you're actually trying to haul. That is an excellent trunk, I have to say. It's not lined with the best materials, but for the price, it's impressive. So at the end of the day, I really like the Hyundai Sonata. I like its style, I like its interior, I like the technology and the infotainment, which pushes itself past the Toyota Camry, which is one of its primary competitors. That said, I haven't driven the all-new Honda Accord yet, and that has been getting rave reviews. So my suggestion is stay tuned.